Hi and welcome to Again Homeschool. My name is Maya and I am the homeschool mom of a third grader and a toddler. And today I'm going to be talking a little bit about routine and how to get it into your homeschool. I'm going to be sharing a little personal story about how it didn't work out for me, but then worked out in the very end. So grab a cup of tea, cup of coffee, blanket, snuggle up, hygge, and let's chit chat a little about routines in the homeschool. So the first part here is mostly for toddler and preschool moms. Maybe even kindergarten, because I delayed formal learning a little bit, but whatever, if you have not gotten into the formal learning, I would just line out my day or maybe my week, but the day so the kid knows what the routine is. I wouldn't set specific times like you get up at 7:30, get dressed at 8 o'clock, we're at the breakfast table. No. I would just say we get up when we awake, and then we take our clothes on and we brush our teeth. That would be like one color. Then we have breakfast. That would be another color. Then we have free play, a morning circle, whatever you want to put in there. And you can play, but you can put different things in. I found out at one point it worked really well for us to have an afternoon circle because she has a nap in the morning and how the nap works out. And then, then we have lunch, and then we do this. And on Tuesdays, we go to the library for story times. And on Fridays, we go to music class or whatever you put in there. That is so simple and so great for the kids to have like the colors. If you could call out one day and they knew, and then they already, I would say at 2 years old already, my daughter kind of know, oh, today it's Wednesday, it's a music day. And then you could have for yourself or for the kids also, maybe around 2, they'll start to get it that every Friday is art day for us. That's the day where mommy brings out all the art supplies and we do wet on wet paint or sculpting or clay, Play-Doh, whatever. That's our art day. I know there's families who like to have like to have out art supplies all the times, and I will have my 2-year-olds draw every day while my big one do a school, but I won't have like the big paint clay out every day. That is too much work for me. Another thing with the little kids is have them help you with chores. I got what are they called, Swiffers, and I just pulled out, they have like 3 sticks that go together to make the handle. I just pulled out a middle one and I have a short one, and I can give my toddler that and she loves it. So we Swift together, some of the laundry, some of it's hard to hang on hangers and fold, but most of the laundry they can fold. It's not necessarily perfect, but if I have any washcloth or, cloths for cleaning or bibs or towels or something, I'll have the kids fold them, and then I might fold some of the more complicated. And I have a ton of dust cloths, so whenever I clean, I hand them each a cloth and they can help. It's not that the whole day has to be, household chores. It has to be fun and play and games, but they can do that, and they can help set the table. They can put a little bit in the dishwasher, take it out. A toddler probably can't put the china in the dishwasher, but they can take out if they have like plastic cups and stuff. And even now my 2-year-old can, I won't say she can cut an apple, but she can try. She can have like the knife that you put on butter with. So there's like a lot of things where she can help you or he in the household chores, so you don't have to like run around and do the chores while the kids play in another room. So I would think those into your routine, and I would make like this colorful, this is what we do in a day, so the kids know, okay, now, and pretty fast they'll get the routine. So that was for the little ones. Then for my bigger kid, suddenly there's a lot more extracurricular activities. Like she has dance, she has musical class, she has singing. I will say simplify as much as you can. Your kid doesn't have to go to something every single day. It's actually nice to have some afternoons where you can say Wednesday's art day together, you know, Friday is or game day for the family, whatever your family likes. We at one point we have like a movie afternoon where we sat together and watched a movie at a specific day. And I try now, I'm not that good at game. It's not like my favorite, but I can see my 9-year-old really loves it, so I'm trying to implement like a weekly game day where we just sit together and have that connection. And who you get and then she has, you know, a lot more extracurricular, and then she has school. We have to put in more formal schooling. At least that's what I do. I know there's people who unschool and people who do other things. For me, I put in a lump of time every day, not in the weekends, but like all the regular days, with like school time for her to finish her workbooks and for us to do unit studies together and do things together. And I try to bring in the toddler as much as possible. She can sit and draw. I have books for her too. So that's how I plan out. So I try to I think of it as kind of like rocks. I have the big rocks, that's like her extracurricular, that is like her schoolwork, and that's like the meals. We have to have food to function. And then we have the smaller rocks, which is like super important, but I try to put them in together, which is like game night and stuff I want to do in a homeschool. It's so important that if you're at home, you can spend every day cleaning every corner of your house and just have your kids sit, you know, in one corner and you can clean around. So try to minimize that, but still have like a livable home, a nice home. So I see the cleaning and the chores, it's like the lowest in the rock, like it's the sand or the water that we pour in, and at the end we try to fit that in as good as we can, and we'll just try and fit it in. I used to have a very set, and that works for some, a very set where like every Monday we do the kitchen, every Tuesday we do the bathrooms, this day we do that room. It didn't really work because sometimes sometimes the bathroom got really gross before we got to it. Some days we just, we were out all that day, and then it would take 2 weeks to get to the kitchen. So for me, I call it chaos planning. I just do what is needed, and then I try to think like every day, this day of the week, I have to go around and make sure that there's that the trash cans, we have like a bathroom upstairs. I want to make sure that the trash can get emptied at least once a week, so I know that if somebody put a diaper or something in, that it's not there for 2 weeks, So I have a few things in my calendar, mostly in my brain, that this I have to check. I want to have the linen changed at regular time, but for me it was more stressful. And maybe it's a bad metaphor with the rocks, but then if I put it in the calendar, every Monday I have to clean the kitchen spotless, and I won't get to it for another week. That became one of the big rocks, where I feel the big rocks has to be the school, the play, the games, the homeschool, the important things. Why are you staying home with your kids if it's to clean the house every day? It is important. It needs to be, livable and clean. For me, the chaos planning worked very well, where I just kind of do what's needed and then have in the back of my mind, every month at least we need to change all the linens and wash the duvets. That's and preferably every 2 weeks. But I have in my mind that have we done it in February? Okay, we need to do it at least once in February, if that makes sense. And then of course sometimes there is illness, if you've had a fever, you've laid in your linens, you want to change them right away when you get better. So stuff like that. And I try to live by the one load a day keeps the laundry away. However, it always piles up. It's not I've given up, but every Sunday I try to get to the bottom of the laundry, and then I try to live by the one load a day keeps the laundry away. So that's my planning regarding that. And now I'm gonna tell you a little bit about my story. So we've all seen the videos. It's so cozy. The mom gets up, she might light a candle, she's sitting with her journal, she's reading maybe scripture, maybe like a motivational book, and it's so cozy. She gets up before her kids. Here is the thing. I'm co-sleeping. I have a 2-year-old. She gets up with me. I have heard so many say, oh, you just have to make it boring. It is boring. It is literally just me sitting either in front of my laptop or with a book. She wants to nurse. What do I do? I could either stress and say, you know what, everybody says I need these 15 minutes before my kids wake, or I need these 20 minutes, and that's how the day works. I could go back to bed with my toddler and snuggle into her. I could lay with her and give myself the 15 minutes there. I can lay in bed with her and nurse her and go through my day, say a prayer, do whatever I need to do in the bed. I don't have to sit with a candle and a journal. And also I've talked about a little bit in my hygge video that dinner as a family is so important for me. I have people telling me your kids have to be in bed your toddler have to be in bed by 7. Well, we eat at 7 because that's how we can get a family dinner on the table, sit together, have that coziness. And then she still naps. I feel a lot of moms put a lot of pressure on themselves, and me included, to do these things that they hear are good for the family. And I know that for some moms, it is essential to have those 20 minutes to themselves before the kids wake up. I would love if I could have it. It's just not, I just can't right now because of the toddler. There's some mornings where I can, and I'm like, oh, that's nice. Now I can sit a little and read. But there's also some where I can't. And I get angry and frustrated, and she comes in if I keep pushing for that. That is not happening right now. There's many mornings where she'll, look for me in the bed. Sometimes I can tuck her in the duvet. I love to sit and write my blog posts for my blogs in the morning. And some mornings I can do that. Some mornings I get a whole hour if I sneak out and she's tired. And some mornings I can't. And there's 2 choices. I could either push through and keep getting her back to bed and now she's calling me, and make that a priority, that she needs to be in bed and I need to sit here and write my blog post in the morning. Or I can go back to bed and say, now I'm snuggling this beautiful little human and now she's calling and I'll be back to finish the video. And that was so cool that my toddler just called me up. I gave her some snacks and she's playing with her sister upstairs in a play tent. Where was I? I could either get super frustrated that I couldn't get my 20 minutes in the morning that I've heard is super good. There was a time when I only had one kid and she had stopped nursing, and I got up at 5 o'clock and I did yoga, and that was beautiful and that was perfect for that season. Right now, I'm in a season where I don't get every morning, and it's okay. I can lay down with my toddler, I can snuggle her, I can smell her beautiful hair, and instead of getting frustrated that I can't get up and light a candle and journal, I can journal when I get older. I can lay there and just enjoy her. And let me be filled up with happiness and joy that I can just relax in the morning and snuggle up with my kiddos. And we don't have to be, usually, unless we have doctor's appointment or something, we don't have to be anywhere. And I was a person who stressed and I got frustrated at my kids, and why can't I get up and do my yoga and journal and read my books? but just relax, just hygge and give yourself grace and just be in the season you're in right now. I'm not saying to let everything go and just let your home get messy and unlivable and dance kumbaya and let your kids run wild and never put them to bed. I'm just saying, look at your home life and try and make a routine that works for your home, not someone that works for someone else. And my daughter is in dance classes, and she finishes at a time where it's perfect in the summer for her to stay and play at the playground with all her friends till the sun sets, and then we go home and have a late dinner. And in the summer she won't get to bed till 9 o'clock, and the same goes for the toddler. And that's okay, because it's so wonderful to play out there with the friends and watch the sunset in the summer, and then go home and have a lovely dinner, and her dad has gotten home from work, and we can sit all together and have these beautiful memories than some bedtime set by a pediatrician. And that's not that it isn't, that bedtimes isn't, important, and that routines and schedule is not important. And I know that there's like the golden sleep before midnight, but in the summer the other thing is more important for my family, and maybe for your family bedtime is really important and it has to be strict and has to be here. It's just, if it doesn't fit your schedule, and I have been the one who tried to, my daughter at one point had super late martial arts classes, and it was so hard to fit it in, and I wanted her to be in bed by 7:30 at that time, and my husband had to race home from work, and then we swallowed our dinner, and this is just my piece of advice. I'm so much happier, and our life just works so much better, and our homeschool just flows when I set the routine around our life and set my goals and every day and what I want to do every day around our life and how it actually is, instead of I need to journal every morning, I need to get 20 minutes of workout in every day, I need to do this every day, I need to do that every day. And every YouTuber you hear now sitting here saying my own thing is saying you have to do this, you have to do that, and this will make you happy, and this will make you slim and full of energy, and this will make it this. And at the end of the day, it's your family. You can feel in your heart what's right. You can feel what's working and what's not. And I just want to tell you, if you were like me, was fighting to get that. I mean, at one point I got up at 4 o'clock in the morning to get up. That was when I only had one kid to get up, so I could sit and journal before she got up. And I needed rest. What I needed at that point was rest. And I also want to add that just like the female cycle, that when I'm in my period where I ovulate, is that how I pronounce it? I have much more energy, and there I might get up at 5 o'clock and do yoga before the toddler wakes up. And then when I'm in the bleeding phase, I'm so tired. There I spend much more time on the food. I'm like, I need to get some iron, I need to get some good vitamins because I'm bleeding, and I need rest. My body need rest. And that might be, now I'm thinking, that might be also where I let the kitchen slip a little. I don't change the linen. I wait to the next week. I don't have as much energy, and I focus on rest and good nutritious meals. And then at other times, so I also feel maybe with the routine that you have to look at yourself throughout the month. And if you have stuff going on, follow your own cycle. I'm so glad my daughter called me away, because now all this is coming to me, that I follow my own cycle. And I know that there's times where I have a lot more energy, and there's times where I need to rest a lot more. And especially at that time of month when you need a lot more rest, go in and snuggle with your toddler. That journal isn't going anywhere. And then when you have teenagers who sleeps in themselves, that needs a lot more rest, that you don't want to wake up because they're growing and they're, they sleep all day. You feel like sometimes they sleep talk to some moms, they sleep till 10 o'clock. They don't start school till 11. they need their sleep. And then you have these long mornings. I feel they'll come. We don't know what to do with yourself when your youngest is a teenager, sleeps in all day, do the most of the schoolwork themselves, and you can sit and journal, till 11 o'clock. So I just feel there's different seasons in life where you can do different things. And I also think I feel for us it works to have a set dinner time. I try to do on some days we can do it earlier so the kids can get earlier to bed. For us in the summer, the toddler gets to bed. I want her in bed by 9 and sleep, preferably sleeping. And the older one at 9:30. That's like my goal. But there has been summer evenings, where everything has been beautiful and we've sat outside and we watched the stars come up, and they haven't been in bed till 10. I'm not saying, to let them run wild till 10 o'clock, but I'm just saying that on some beautiful nights it's okay, and especially in summer. And then in winter, I feel like we sleep in and we go to bed a lot earlier, So I don't use the set bedtime or the set morning ritual. It's more that I was so stressed out by trying to live up to all these things. I'm also talking on my blog a little bit about how I use from different philosophies like Waldorf and Charlotte Mason and Montessori. And I also feel it's a little bit the same, that I always kind of flow with what works for my family. And I could be, super strict Waldorf, there's no screens, there's no, or Montessori, there's no imaginary play, it has to be, only the real stuff. But again, I try to flow with it all and take whatever works for my family and use it, and whatever doesn't work, I just throw it over one shoulder. There's no need for me to be in that grip of they have to do this, I have to do my morning journal, they have to be in bed by 7, they have to do this, they have to do that. And I know that the reasons other people are sharing it. I would also say, if your kids struggle every day to stay awake and sit and do the homeschool, then look at the bedtime. Are they getting in bed too late? If you are frustrated that you don't get that time and you really need that time in the morning, and you feel that you can't get it by laying with your toddler and you're frustrated, then by all means, get up and do it. It's more for me. I had that season between my two kids where I got up at 6 o'clock, I got trained, I read, it was amazing. I saw the sun rise and it was so beautiful. And then my toddler came and she's nursing. And if I leave the bed, I don't know if she feels it get cold. My husband gets up before me. I can't do it right now on an everyday basis. And I need my rest also. So that was a long chitty chatty video about routines and what I do. And I hope the biggest takeaway that you get from this video is look at your routine, like try and get those rocks in. What do I need to get in schoolwork? And then just do whatever works for your family instead of what someone else say. Even what I said, just do what works for you. And if you thrive with like a rigid schedule and you have to have those times, I know that I have a mom friend who really needs to know at 4 o'clock, not 4:01, not 4:05, at 4 o'clock we leave the house, and that is how she rolls. Then by all means do that. Whatever I wanted to get from this video is do what works for you. And try and have your main goal that everything has to be hygge, and it has to be enjoyable, and you have to be happy. And then look at, if your kid needs more sleep, then maybe you should, but if everybody's happy, everything is flowing, then it's perfect. Then you don't have to change it into something because someone says that they worked out at 4 o'clock every day. You don't have to put in a workout there if everything is going great. And then you can adjust it. You have to listen to your own heart and look at your own kids. Like, what do they need? Do they need to be rushed home from dance class like my daughter and thrown dinner, or eat in the car so they can get in their PJs so they can get to bed at a certain time, or what works. Because maybe it works, maybe your daughter needs more sleep and you're super late and you have a long drive, and that's what worked for you, to eat dinner in the car. Whatever works for your family is the best routine. That is what I hope this video will give you. Thank you so much for watching to all my chit chat, and I hope to see you again for another video. Thank you so much. Bye.